Hi, I'm BJ Armstrong. This is the Redeeming Real Estate Podcast. Today I'm sitting here with Noreen Behrens. Noreen is the team leader here at Keller Williams Bloomington. She's responsible for all the agents in this office. It's a pretty daunting job and some other things as well. But tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you land right here in Bloomington?
I married a man who grew up here and we got transferred here, or he lives here. Was a top producing agent out of Atlanta, Georgia for 18 years.
And just to give Paul a plug, because honestly, this guy is like one of the most amazing men in the world. He builds windmills for a living, and it's Paul's Windmill Service, right, is actually what it is.
Yes, and let's define windmills. It's not the big white wind turbines. I've been corrected many times. It's the old-fashioned farm windmills.
It really is fantastic, and he does great work. So
A niche market for sure.
Yes. Anyway, that's no wonder you moved to Bloomington, right? Now I get it.
All that wide open space.
But here's the awesome thing. Right now at Keller Williams Bloomington, we get to benefit from somebody that comes from a completely different culture, from a completely different business environment. And we're really reaping a lot of benefits from that. You've been with us,
It'll be 2 years in April.
Yeah, geez. All right, so a really long time now. And we've already reaped some of those benefits, right?
Let's hope so.
And what I want to talk about today specifically is we keep coming around to this thing that we call growth. Mm-hmm. And I think generically, whether you're in business or whatever, growth seems to be a buzzword of sorts, right? Where it's this whole thing.
Kind of something you have to do, either individually, personally, professionally, business-wise, somewhere something has to grow.
Yeah, because if it's not growing, it's dying essentially, right?
Shriveling and dying, yeah. You don't grow and change.
So you shrivel first. So you'll let me know when I start to shrivel. Okay.
Be careful, it might be happening.
What are you saying? All right. So define growth as we look at it. I mean, we look at it in terms of a real estate office. We look at it in terms of agents in this office that have businesses. Mm-hmm. How do we look at growth? What's real?
We talked about this earlier. I think it's improving your skill, your talent, your commitment to things to do something bigger and better.
All right. So when I think of growth, right, my mind automatically goes to profit.
Yeah.
Right. So I think of grow. I sold 10 houses last year. How do I sell 15? I made $10,000 last year. How do I make 15,000? Right. That's where I automatically go to growth. But you don't go there necessarily.
I think just as many agents or business people think, how many more people can I help, or how do I improve my service to those people? There are some people that don't want to think all about the profit, but they want to think about how much they help people.
Right.
You know? I think there are two different sides of the business.
All right. So, and there are definitely people. There's definitely both sides of it. I would argue, right? I don't want to make myself sound too cold-hearted,
but not all about that transaction.
Because I do. There's a personal growth component that I'm always chasing.
Yes, you.
What's a coaching difference? How do you coach differently in a right? If you get somebody that's not really concerned about profit at all.
Well, I want them to be concerned a little bit about profit, not at all. Why do it if you're just turning and burning?
Don't you get that though? Do you get people that just go, I don't care about the money?
Yeah, I get a couple that just do it because they live to serve. They have a servant heart and they're living to serve others. And they feel that this is an avenue to get that done.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the business costs money, so you got to make enough profit to cover your costs.
So you're really pushing for a balance between, hey, there's a personal growth thing here too, but there's also, you also own a business. So at some point you have to cultivate the profit out of the business, because that's really
And the purpose of a business is to fund the perfect life. So if your heart is meant to serve, you want to have a business that funds that service model.
Right.
Even if you're not driven to just making tons of money.
What do you get out of when we look at that growth? What do you think is, for realtors in particular, what do you think holds them back from growth mostly, more than anything? Can you point to any, maybe it's not one thing.
Fear comes to mind.
Fear?
Yeah, either fear of more work or losing that perspective. Maybe, if I make a lot of money, then I'll only be chasing the transaction and not so much helping the people. But I think there's a marriage between the two. It's the difference between having a career at it and having a business at it for me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I don't really think about it as a.
Well, we all know those agents that are just driven for the next sale. They just have that next sale in front of them. And then I also, and I am one, of thinking of how does my business, what is my purpose in that business? For me, it was to educate and empower my clients. So there was a business model as well as I got to get the next sale, but it's to feed this purpose.
So talk about that. You had, I mean, that sounded like a mission statement to me. I've never talked to you about this before, so I don't really know what that is. Would you go there with that?
Yeah, in order to grow our business, I had two partners and we had a purpose. We wanted to empower and educate our clients, not just show a house, but make sure they were buying the right house for the right reasons that would have an impact on their future financially. So that fed our business model. It became, well, make sure you do that on every one, to how many can we do this with?
It's interesting that you go, and I wasn't planning on talking about this at all. It's interesting that you go to mission statement. You went there pretty quickly that, hey, I have to have this why I do business to really empower the growth and all of that stuff.
Don't you? In your business? I
yes.
mean, on some level, you know you're growing it for this purpose.
Without a doubt. But it sounds very, it almost sounds corporate to me, right? I mean, if you go to sit through a business class, they're going to tell you what's your mission statement. Here's my problem is that do you really think that's prevalent in the real estate community? Is a mission statement a thing?
No, I think that's unique to Keller in that KW teaches us to go figure out what that mission is, because you could probably fulfill your business goal quicker knowing that. I know for us, when we established that, we could determine who was our client and who wasn't. It wasn't important for me to educate and empower an investor client. They already had that skill set, but that investor client might suck up all my time for the clients we did empower and educate. So it became a determining factor to how we grew our business. And you can't really get there without it.
Absolutely. And just as you're talking, one of the things that keeps showing up for me is how important the people that you're in business with are. When you have that kind of mission, and you start to build this passion around it, this can be a very tough, cutthroat, dog eat dog business. Yeah. And so if I'm trying to do that, and somebody keeps yanking the rug out from under me in various ways, there's something about surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded and doing the same thing. It kind of changes the rules again.
It definitely sets up your business plan for the year when you know that you're going after that empowering. We didn't chase down investor clients. We chased down referral business that we really genuinely could help, and that steered our business down a different road towards a different level of growth.
Right. Interesting. How do you know what's healthy growth? So is there, no, you know what I'm saying? So if I'm an agent right now, and I've just finished maybe a year or 2 years in the business, well, of course I want to double my business next year.
Doubling down is a tough thing.
Tell me,
if you're really growing a business and not just going after the transactions, because to double down means you have to be prepared to serve and systematize and model that business to duplicate at double the level in 1 year.
Because otherwise it becomes a transactional business that
will turn and burn.
After the transactions are over, I have probably some people that didn't get served really, really well.
And won't refer, and you and I both know that you build a bigger, better business off of your past clients than off of strangers. That you one and done kind of deal.
How do you incorporate all of that? Right. So I get coaching and consulting an individual agent or an individual team of agents, a business, into growth and doing that. Now you're talking about having an entire office to do the same thing with. How do you make it bigger? I mean, it's almost a culture.
It's very much part of our culture, because we're taught that you have to know your big why. You have to know what drives you. Keller Williams' mission is to create careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living. And that life worth living component is the cultural side of it. We all share together to have something better. And
honestly, what I love is that among the first things you said in that mission statement is really become something that if you're passionate about it, it becomes the fuel that drives all that other stuff.
Put your feet on the floor and running every day.
And it's infectious.
Absolutely, everybody wants a piece of it. And your clients feel that passion as much as your co-op agents or your business partners.
I would argue that it's the client that benefits the most.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what's interesting is we kind of originally started talking as in terms of a real estate office, and here's how realtors grow their businesses and everything else. But ironically, one of the things that we talk about in here every day is how do you better serve your client? How do you make sure that they come first in everything? And I think that that's a big part of it. If you have me that's passionate about, what did you say your mission was?
To empower, educate our clients.
That's pretty powerful, right? So if that's it, and everything you do filters through that mission, how can the client not win?
Yeah, and they have fun doing it because our mind's off of the business and just on that mission of, you're about to make a purposeful financial decision. Let me help you.
So if I'm a client, how will I know that you're that agent and not the guy that I met at open house last week? You know what I mean? How do I know I've found an agent that's that kind of minded?
It's in their value proposition. It's how they present. If it's just, here are the numbers, here's what you should go do, but if they're looking out for your mission, what's your mission in finding this house? Is it just to fluff and flip? Is it this? Is it that? What is it? Is it the home of your dreams, or is it the go-between, or whatever? If they can fulfill your mission, you'll know it in their statement of value.
I agree with that, and honestly, I think we come across people every day like that you know whether or not they are growth minded in that way, where they're growing personal. It does kind of flow out.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah. What else would you add about growth? Or we kind of mixed into culture. We mixed into a couple of different things.
You can grow as much as you determine will fund your life. It's okay to have a small business. It's okay to have a big one, as long as it funds the perfect life.
Yeah, it's chasing that perfect life. That was one of the things showing up at Keller Williams for me that really spoke to my soul was a life worth living, because you kind of go, oh my gosh, right? To the extent that I think for 15 years of my life, I never really even thought about what a life worth living was, right?
Right.
I mean, you have dreams. You have dreams about some things, but not
and
really.
And your business, or whatever it is you do for the funding of that life, is what gets it done. So you can have a business at 10 transactions if it funds what you want to do with it.
Absolutely.
Or you can do one at 100 transactions if your life is on a different path.
Absolutely. A few different things to get to each level, right?
A lot of different things.
All right. Hey, this has been Redeeming Real Estate, and it's really been an honor to sit here and talk with Noreen. She's really awesome. So if you want to shoot her emails, she can answer really good questions. I do know that she answers all of my questions. So thanks for joining us today. We will be back on. There are other episodes of this. If you want to go back through my Facebook or something, you'll find all of our other episodes. Please like them and share them, right? That's how our word gets out. And if you want a real estate topic that you want covered, send us a note. Let us know what you want to talk about in Redeeming Real Estate, and we'll make sure that it gets out there. So thanks for joining us.